Do you have headphones or anything I can borrow? Man, I just want to be with the party people, you know what I mean? Fuck. What's going on in this lobby? I don't even know what's going on. But give me a call back. I'll be here downstairs. You know, chillin'.
What is up, everybody? What is up? Juanton here. Back again with the Tech House Music Production live stream on Twitch. Y'all, what is up? I know I talked to you guys a little bit last week about my show, Sasha Robati. Had that show. It was a great time. Thank you to anybody who came out and supported that one. I had a blast. Got to play a lot of Juanton music. And we're getting pretty close to finishing up some of these tracks I've been working on the stream. So hopefully those will make those into the set as well soon. So today is episode 5. We're going to be talking about sound designing, our lead synths, and ear candy. So really good topics today. Before we get into the stream, just going to share a couple quick announcements. So first and foremost, let's see. Transition here. So on YouTube, I have all of the past streams from the last 4 weeks up and live there. I went in and updated the titles so that you know kind of what we're covering there. And in the coming weeks, I'm going to be going in there for all my streams and putting timestamps for all the topics that we cover. That way, if there's something that you guys really got from the stream, or if it's some feedback that I gave you on your tracks, you'll be able to just zone in on where that is in the video. So definitely go check that out on YouTube. Click subscribe if you haven't already. Trying to grow that channel as well as this Twitch. Okay, so a few other things. I'm very close to making Twitch affiliate. So what that means, if I make Twitch affiliate, is that people will be able to subscribe to my channel, be able to support me. So that's really important for me and for my growth of my channel. So let me see. I have 7.13 out of 8 hours. So going to make that mark today. See if I do 2 different streams within 30 days, I'll make it. So pretty close there, and my average viewers as well. But that key metric there is followers. So I think I'm sitting actually at 31 as of right now. 28 it says on here. So let's get that number up to 50. Share with your friends. Share it on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, wherever the heck you guys are these days. TikTok. I don't even have a TikTok yet. But share it with your friends. Let's get more producers in here. Let's get more producers sharing knowledge together and really build a community here. So close to that. We've actually reached our goal, I believe, which was 25. We have 20 so far in August. So just a few more, we'll get to our goal. All right. So last thing I wanted to talk about was the Juanton newsletter. I dropped the link in there. If you guys sign up for the newsletter, I'm going to be sending out some of the Ableton racks that I use in the streams. You guys have already seen some of these, and I'm going to be making more racks for you guys, as well as some of my unreleased music. I'm just going to be sharing it with you guys for anybody who DJs, or if you're a producer and you just want to listen to my beats, roast them, tell me how bad they are. I don't care. I'll send them to you anyway. Just sign up for the newsletter there. All right. So with that, let's just dive into it. Give me a shout out if you're here. Oh, and as always, don't forget to send your demos in. Let's see here. There we go. Send your demos to juan@juantonmusic.com. And at the end of the stream, we're going to be looking at people's demos and giving you some feedback as a group. So don't forget to do that, because feedback is super valuable for all producers. All right. Let's just get into it then. So we're talking sound design today. Where's my Ableton? Nice. There we go. Back at home. So this is the same track that we've been working on for the past couple of weeks. I think we started with the drums on this initially. We played with some bass. We worked on vocals last week. We came up with this vocal, this drop top vocal. She got that drop top booty. She got that drop top booty. She got that drop. So we got a cool little loop there going, just 4 bars. Today we're going to be working on sound design. How do we use our synths to create leads? How can we create those ear candy that we love so much? So I had a few ideas. The first thing I wanted to make was a laser, because everybody loves lasers, pew, 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 right? So I really like little laser sounds, and I think a good tool to get into the meat of some production would be Serum. So I actually kind of came up with a laser earlier. Let's see kind of what we started with in the mix. Okay, kind of cool. Digging that a little bit. Let me just dive in really quick to Serum and take a look at what we did. So I have the init patch here. Looks like so far I just have one saw, I got an envelope, and I got like this little stepper LFO. If none of that makes sense, don't worry. We're going to recreate this, and then we're going to take it some steps further. So Serum's a pretty popular synth created by Steve Duda, one of the dopest kind of plug-in manufacturers out there. He's a really old mixing engineer. If you never heard of him, worked with the likes of Skrillex and a lot of very, very popular producers and artists. But the man's a genius. He creates some great software, including LFO Tool, which I use all the time, Cthulhu, and of course, this synthesizer beast, Serum, which everybody knows about. And if you type into Google, we'll come up with millions and millions of tutorials. So definitely check out Serum if you haven't already. So let's get a brand new Serum patch here going. Let me know in the chat what's your favorite synths. If you're here, let me know. Okay, here we go. So I started with the default. We might even play around with some different waveforms. But if you don't know, you can always come over here, clear. Where is it? Init preset. That's going to make sure that you're at the very default. So I'm just going to use this default wave shape. Well, I guess let's talk about the synth and talk about some of the foundations of synthesis. So the reason that I chose Serum is because it's a really good graphical representation of what's happening. It's easy to see kind of like the flow of the signal compared to some older synths. So basically right here you have your basic wave, right? So what is an oscillator? An oscillator is just something that generates a tone, and it will create the wave of that tone. So if you've ever heard of a sine wave, square wave, saw wave, this is where you would set that. Along with your oscillator, you can change like the unison, which is how many voices. So let's listen just really quick. If I click MIDI up here or click M on your keyboard, that'll change your keyboard itself into like a piano keyboard so that you can play notes. Okay, cool. So that's just our basic shape there. And then if we start adding unison, you can hear how that's adding voices, right? Then you have your detune, which is going to bring those voices closer or farther. All right, so you can kind of see already how we start to create certain sounds. The next important thing after your oscillator would be your envelope. You're going to have envelope on every synthesizer. This is your ADSR, attack, decay, sustain, and release. So you can see here we have attack. I always recommend not having 0, but having just the tiniest amount, like 0.5 milliseconds is not even noticeable by the human ear, but it's going to prevent you from having clicks, because if it's literally starting at the 0 mark, then you could potentially be adding a click in there. So then we have sustain. Sustain is what holds the note. So if you're holding it, sustain is the level of the volume that it's at while you're holding. So if I took sustain all the way down, it won't hold anymore. So the only thing that you hear is actually the decay. So this right here is the decay, and it's easiest to see if we like increase the sustain. So the sustain says that it's gonna pause at this volume and hold until finally we let go, and then the release will go here. So here's the decay, this is the sustain level, here's your release. decay, sustain, release. Cool. So once you got that, you can really start to understand how do we shape the sounds that we're trying to create. So in this instance, what I'm trying to create is a laser. The quickest way to create a laser is to actually create kind of a little pluck, right? And then what we can actually do in Serum, which makes it really cool, is take this envelope and you can drag it onto something. And what we're going to drag it onto is this coarse pitch right here. What this is, these are all actually just pitch values. So if you wanted to go up an octave, down an octave, as you'll see, we'll use later, up and down semitones, which can help you get like certain harmonics into your sound. And then this is fine and coarse. Coarse is like the smallest amount of pitch. So if you're trying to pitch something up and down, I recommend using coarse or fine. In this case, we're going to try the coarse. All right, see, now we're starting to have a bit of a laser. And what we can do is get rid of the release. No sustain. And you just dial in the decay till you get the laser you want. Lasers. Okay. So once we got that set up, the next most important thing when you're synthesizing sounds is your filter. So everything comes into the filter by clicking and unclicking the sources. So you have two oscillators, you have a sub source, which is literally just you can use this to put like some low end to your sound, depending on which octave you want. You could even use it basically as another synth or another oscillator, except you're limited to your waveforms here. So we're just going to leave that off for now. You also have noise, which is good for creating that bit of analog sound. You want to add some hum, because when we used synthesizers back in the day, they were plugged in. And because they were plugged in and because there was this chain of equipment, there was natural AC hum that came through from the actual like wall outlets or from the oscillator itself, like maybe has a fan whirring. So those things all kind of create noise. And this is basically our way of digitally recreating that noise, right? So you can turn on the filters we'll just turn it on for A because we only have one oscillator at the moment. And you use your cutoff to open and close your filter. And up here, you can select the filter you want. So for our case, I'm just going to do like a filter 18. I'm going to increase the resonance a little bit. Resonance is kind of like this curve, how sharp it is. So you can see. And what that does is introduces certain resonances of the frequency that's being hit right there. And sometimes that can actually be really useful. So resonance is important. Just a little bit of resonance, play with our cutoff. And what I'm actually going to do is take my LFO and stick it on the cutoff of that filter. And now what's happening is that this low frequency oscillator is going to be modulating the source. We'll dive into LFOs a little bit more here, but just listen to what's going on. And now I'm just going to copy this MIDI from up here, and we can listen to. Okay. Add a few voices, but I'm actually going to keep them detuned. Could potentially play with that detune throughout the track to add some variation. I'm going to create a second oscillator and just see how it sounds if I do the same thing. Whoops. All right, I'm going to play with the shapes here. So I would like to start with basic shapes. It just has all your basic shapes, your sines, triangles, squares. And I'm just going to move through this weight position. This is going to shift through the different tables and just see which ones kind of sound good to the ear. Ooh, kind of like that one. I'm going to send oscillator B into the filter as well by activating it here. Kind of like that. Okay. And now what I'm going to do here is use a second oscillator. So now we'll dive in and we'll talk a little bit more about our LFOs. So LFO stands for low frequency oscillator. A low frequency oscillator is just something that moves at a very low frequency. So as you can see here, this is moving at a quarter. So every quarter bar, this is going to go up and then down. And we have the ability to change this. And also, quick trick, if you hold Option, it'll allow you to kind of snap between this little grid here. And you can actually increase the grid size if you want to go down to like a 16th of whatever this is, right? So this would be a 16th of a quarter note. And that allows you to kind of fine tune things if that's what you're trying to go for. I'm going to reduce this back to 8. And then what I want to do actually here is create kind of like a step down thing. So if you just keep double clicking, it'll allow you to create new ones. New vertices, if you will. And then I'm just going to hold Option to like set it to specific points. Okay, so maybe come up here. Then we want to go up, down, take a step, and just kind of repeat this here. Gonna go down one. And then we'll just end there. See how that sounds. So, okay, we're not modulating anything yet. What you do is you grab this, you drag it to what you want to modulate. And in my case, I want to do, I think, the cutoff. And let's go over a longer time. Maybe go up an octave. That's a little better. Okay, so we already have something going here. I'm digging it, but let's see if we can go a little further. So what we have available to us in Serum is the effects here. So hyperdimension is really popular. This adds size. You got distortion. Not too much explaining you need there. Flanger, phaser. You can add more chorus to the sound as a whole. Delays, reverbs, EQs, filters, and a compressor, which is always useful. In our case, I'm just going to play with dimension a little bit. A little bit of distortion. Let's see, maybe just 2 would be fine. Not much to do here. You can choose your different distortions here, and then here you have a filter to decide whether you want to apply the filter pre distortion or post distortion. And then you can use your drive here to add drive to that distortion, as well as a mix knob to do dry wet. I'm going to keep the dry wet down like 25%. I'm going to leave the filter off. I like the sound of it there. Anthony Zamoto, what up? Welcome, playa. Let's play with some delay. Okay, so I'm going to use an LFO on the feedback here, and maybe set this to 2 bars and then do something like this. Kind of cool. You can use your filter here to cut out what the delay frequencies will be. And then maybe one more LFO. I'm going to put it on the mix knob. I'm going to bring this all the way down. And if you hover over this, you get this little kind of symbol. You can change how much the LFO is affecting. Is it only going here, up and down? Or is it going this whole distance, right? And where is it starting and where is it ending? So kind of mess with that. So I want it to start at 0, and I want this to ramp up to a high value over a long time, maybe like 4 bars or 8 bars. See how that sounds. Okay. Digging that. Finally, just going to stick a reverb on this. We're going to go plate, because we talked about recently plates help add size with reverb without pushing it to the back of the mix. So we're going to probably keep it low, like 20%, a little bit more on the size, probably just low cut some of it. And then let's listen to it by itself. Not sure if I'm liking these results. Might use my own reverb on that one. We'll leave it on for now. But I'm going to come back here and add some noise. So I talked a little bit about it earlier, but it really helps us add kind of that organic feeling that you get from a real synth. So I'm just going to kind of circle through some of these analog sounds, see if I can find one I like. I'm going to turn it up a lot, so you're going to hear it, but we'll end up turning it down. Okay, this micro Korg noise is cool. I'm going to turn it down. You really can't even hear it, you know? But it does add something. It adds like a warmth, a noise, especially once it's in the mix. If you have multiple things with it as well. But it just gives it a little beef. So digging that. Let's see what we got so far. So cool little laser, what would you call it? Little sequence, I suppose, or let's see here. So, okay, so that's serum. A pluck. That's the damn word I'm looking for. Pluck. A little pluck. A little laser pluck, if you will. Okay. Cool. So I'm digging that. Let me know if you guys have any tips in the chat for playing with serum, any kind of go-to effects that you play with there. We're going to call this synth laser pluck. All right. So next thing, I'm going to just get this track moving here. So we've kind of been working on this track for a few weeks here in the stream, and I figure, hey, why not just finish this track on the stream? So for the next few weeks, I'm going to be trying to turn this whole track, turn this loop into a whole track. We'll do it here on the stream. We'll use your guys' advice in the chat, and we'll see what we can make. So once I have this loop here, what I really like to do is just start working on the first drop. So what I'm going to do here is duplicate this out. There's 8 bars right there. And then what I can do is just duplicate that as well. That gives us 16 bars to work with. And then I'm going to just copy and paste all this really quick to the front and start working on a breakdown. So what I want is for this breakdown to just rise up, hit this drop, and then we can start working on those first 16 bars of the drop. So let's see what we can take out really quick that will help us make this bit more of a breakdown. Obviously take those lasers out. Okay, maybe high pass. Let's see. We'll take the kick out here. And then we're going to high pass our bass and our kick. So typically on my kick, I already got a high pass there set up. Let's listen to it. Just gonna work on the curve here. What I'll do is just put a little bit of a rise up so you get a bit of resonance there. And probably around the 100 mark is good, but really dial this in with every kick because every kick has a different frequency and you want the resonance to sound a little pleasing. So I think that's a sweet spot. So see if I go a little further, it starts to sound kind of ugly, distorted. I don't want that. So that's why you bring it back. And look, we're right at this harmonic right here. You can actually see it in the form, in the waveform. Cool, I like that. And then I'm just gonna double click this, right click, show automation in new lane. So now I got my device on. I'm just gonna leave it on there and turn it off everywhere else. Okay, now in the mix. And now we have the same problem, but with our bass. So I'm gonna go to the bass group. We got a high pass there as well. And I'm gonna turn it on when we're not in the drop. Same thing, you wanna work on the frequency. So let's get that chain, open up our fab filter. Doesn't sound bad there. Okay, and one more time, I'm just going to duplicate this stuff over here so that we have a bit of a build into it. Okay, let's get rid of our vocals for now. We'll probably come back and play around with those vocals in the mix to kind of help with our arrangement later. But for now, I just want to have it drums, build, drop one. And the groove element, I suppose, which is the bass. turn this up for everyone.
She got that drop top booty. 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 She got that drop.
So right away, now that there's like a little bit of energy change, like I can get an idea of what I need to do with this lead that maybe I didn't understand earlier. So I'm just going to take these out really quick.
She got that drop top booty.
Cool.
She got that drop top booty. She got that drop top booty. She got that drop.
Okay, so this drop top booty, let's see.
She got that.
I'm just going to duplicate the she got that. And then I'm going to throw my handy dandy filter. So easy filter. I've showed this before. It's the Bass Clefs plugin. I thought it was free. I mentioned that before, but correction, it's not free. Bass Clefs charges $19, I think, on his website, and you can download all of his racks, and they're really cool racks, really useful. So I definitely recommend it. $19. That's a steal in my book. So if you want this one, definitely go pick that up. I don't get a commission on it. Don't worry. Let's see. Gonna get my low pass ready here. And do a high pass as well.
She got that.
Okay, a little bit of a build going. All right. Now this gets me to the main point I wanted to get to, which is the next thing we're going to sound design. So what we're going to create here is like a bit of a rising tone, kind of wobbly thing using Ableton's operator. It's one of my favorite synthesizers, and it comes stock in Ableton. So let's look for operator, Command F. There's my main man right there, operator. We're going to drag him in. Okay. So operator is a little different than Serum. So Serum uses a bit of additive synthesis, a little bit of subtractive synthesis, and it's mostly known as a wavetable synth, which we saw, right? It gives you the wavetables, allows you to modulate through those wavetables. That's what Serum's great at. But operator is actually a frequency modulation synthesizer, or a FM synth. What that means is that here you have 4 oscillators, and those oscillators don't just create their own tones. Sometimes we can use them to modulate the next tone, to oscillate. Well, I guess it works as like a low frequency oscillator almost. It's like a LFO. Using one wave to be the LFO of another wave is basically what FM synthesis is all about. And one of the keys to FM synthesis is using ratios. You can do all the research and study on that if you want. I did it myself, and I learned that basically the way frequency modulation works is using like good ratios between the different oscillators will create like pleasing tones. So let me explain that better just by showing you. So we can turn these off. We have 2 oscillators, let's say, right? So this is the only one that's playing. You can tell because the level on here is negative. Turn this one on. So if we listen to this operator by itself, just a sine wave. So turn that up a bit. But what if I wanted to add something to that sine wave? Well, I could turn on a second modulator, a second oscillator. This one's going to be completely silent. We're not going to hear it. But if I drop this down to 0.5, let's see. And they're going through each other. You're going to start to get like a modulation of the other one, right? Let me see. Is this the right one? I think it's here. So what these are is your algorithms. It's saying like how the signal chain is going through. And in this case, that means it's going D, C, B, A. Some of these other ones you can see, like 2 of them go into one kind of thing. So then all the way over here, we have each oscillator comes out completely untouched. So they're not they're not routing through each other. They're not modulating each other. But for whatever reason, this one doesn't seem to be modulating. Well, for what we're doing here, we actually don't need to modulate it, so we'll leave this be. But what you're seeing here is actually pretty cool. So when you click on the first oscillator, we can see all these different harmonics. So you can actually, it's easier with 16. You can actually draw harmonics in. So this would be a single harmonic. And then you can add a harmonic here maybe. So think of these as octaves. You're adding different harmonics down the octaves so that you can create a fuller sound. So you can go really fat or just a basic sine wave. And this kind of just allows you to create your own wave essentially. But we'll just stick here. So you can go to wave right here and you can just choose from like some of these defaults. So like a good one, maybe square. All right, so the key to really good sound design is knowing what you're going for. So what I'm going for is kind of like a tone that's going to be like, and then I want it to just start kind of wobbling and then build up so that when our drop comes, you're kind of having like this big buildup of energy. So knowing that, I'm going to go ahead and create Command-Shift-M. What is that? 8 bars. So 8 bars there. I'm just going to come into... I think our track is in G, so I'm going to come to G, do a long tone. You can actually hit legato here, and that will go all the way to the end. Okay, awesome. I think probably right about there is what I'm going for. So by changing this coarse value, you're basically changing like the octave. So 1 would be the octave you're in, 2 would be the next octave, 4 would be the octave after that. It goes up like that, right? So we're going to stick with 1. Just going to put a low pass on this because we don't want this to be a bass instrument. All right, and still we have our filter here, right? Here's your cutoff. Here's your resonance. But here's a little trick, really important one for operator. If you open this up, there's these other algorithms. These are different algorithms for the filter specifically that are modeled after analog filters, except for, of course, clean. This would be like a clean digital filter. But what we're going to do is go to MS2. It's just my favorite. You guys might like OSR. Listen to them. Maybe even cycle through them sometimes. See which one you like best. I just always go to MS2 because it's easier for me. And then you can change just between a 12 and a 24 filter, which is the like the amount that the cutoff is. So 12 would be a little less sharp. 24 is really, really sharp. Cool. And now we got something going, but there's this really cool thing here, this LFO. So we can choose what we want to use the LFO. Sine wave is really good to get a nice consistent kind of flow. And then you can use the rate to change how much it's wobbling. Already you can start to hear how we can kind of get the wobbly sound we're looking for. And a lot of like little dirty birdie sounds. See already, like that's it. The LFO is the secret here. Operator is such a great tool. And there's ways using the LFO. So if you click on the LFO itself, so whatever you click on is going to change this middle section here and what parameters you can set. And you can tell which one's clicked because it's not grayed out or not dark gray, I suppose. So let's click on the LFO. This allows you to change like the LFO attack, decay, sustain, stuff like that, as well as the destination. So if I didn't want it to modulate B, I could turn off B here. If I wanted to also modulate the filter, I could do that as well. And then you have these other destinations you could turn on to modulate almost anything else. Your drive, oscillator volumes, LFO rates, and LFO to modulate the LFO rate. Like, there you go. Pretty cool. And then once you create something, you can change the percentage, which is basically the same as this amount here, except just for that destination. So in this case, I'm gonna leave it off. You can also change the amount of LFO based on the velocity, but I'm not gonna touch anything like that. Another really good tool down here is this tone. Sometimes if you want things to sound brighter or darker, that's kind of the key there. So I'm gonna turn the amount down. You can also do like a ramp, basically like a saw up or saw down. That's really good for like rising sounds. But we're gonna stick with a sine, and let's see. I really want to get the right wave here that I'm going for, so I'm just gonna swap through some of these waves. An awful wave. Maybe a saw. That's 16. Let's try saw 8. And then I'm going to try adding the second oscillator. So we'll use C this time. We're going to turn up the volume a bit. Turn this one down. I want to send them both here. So yep, we got C activated. And in C, I'm going to pick something with some more harmonics. Go up one here. Nope. Down. Okay. Okay, I'm digging that. I could work with that. So what we do here now, you can see the LFO rate is here in our automation channel. So we'll create a new lane there. And then we'll just start dragging this up. In the mix. So when you click on the filter here, I did want to talk about this. These are really cool things, but you have this thing called filter drive. So here you can see kind of what the filter looks like, and adding some drive to it is going to create some more harmonics, and it's really going to give it that analog sound that we're going for. You also got this shape drive right here, and this is like driving the shape of the filter, which is kind of interesting, but a good combination of both of these gets you some really pleasing results. See if we can change the filter here. Okay, cool. So now let's just fine tune this to kind of work the way we want. And it's just a little loud. All right, and now because of the type of sound this is, I guess we'll do a little more processing now. We'll jump into it. Actually, before we go a little further, I do want to show this one really cool trick that I use, guys. If you've ever heard of Max for Live, there's these things called Max for Live devices. Max for Live, it's over here. It just allows people to create different kinds of plugins for Ableton. And you can like download and look for thousands and thousands of different plugins people have made. But there's some that have become so popular, they've actually built them into Ableton themselves. And a lot of people don't know this. So even if you've never done anything with Max for Live, these are here. So one is LFO and the other one is envelope. So if we look LFO, just type that in, Command F. And you come here to Max for Live, Max Audio Effect. There's LFO.amxd. You have this, I promise. Stick this on your channel. This is going to become your new favorite tool. Okay, so what we have here is we have a thing that's always oscillating, an LFO essentially. You can choose the waveform, up, down. You can choose the rate. So you can make it like bars, 8 bars, 16 bars, do like a falling ramp, something like that. And then you click map here, and now check this out. Anything that you click inside of your entire Ableton chain is now mappable. Like let's click frequency on our filter, and I'm going to come turn it off on my LFO here. So now you can see the frequency moving with my waveform here. So let's stick it on a sine. Let's change the rate, something fast. And now what you uses this 0 and 100. This is like the beginning and the end of your wave. So if you start to shrink it, you'll see that this is going to go less and less. If you have just a small range, it's only going to wiggle a little bit, right? So this is how you fine tune it. But it gets better. You click this button here, and now you have more things that you can map. You can map 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different sources anywhere in your chain from any plugin, and get them all working together with the same LFO. This thing's super powerful. You can use it to make big, long 8-bar sweeps up and down. You could use it to make really short quarter bar wobbles, anything like that. It's really limited only to your imagination. And you could totally have a second one modulating whole different things on a different wave. So this is a really cool plugin. There's also another one called Envelope Follower. It's basically the same thing, except instead of using LFO, it's just an envelope. I believe you got like an ADSR essentially. But for our case, we're just going to play with the LFO. And what we're going to do, probably do a long one. Triangle, but an up. And we're going to go like 8 bars. So it's a good question. He said, what's the difference between the depth knob and the percentages at the top of the LFO? Well, let's see what the depth controls. I think the depth is for like the LFO as a whole. So if you were modulating multiple sources, you'd be able to kind of turn down the depth of this for all of them as a whole, rather than one by one. So this is going to allow you to fine tune. If you're only using one thing, they're probably the same. But let's see what Ableton has to say. Nothing, actually, it looks like. The LFO audio effect. Min value, this can be more than max. Yeah. And that's actually a good point. I'm glad I looked there because you can actually reverse these. It can be 80 to 27. It would just go backwards. But yeah, I think I'm right. I think the depth is just going to be kind of like the all around way. Right. I do leave it at 100% typically because I'll come in here and fine tune it for each one. But if, later in the project you decide you just kind of want to reduce the effect or listen to it, or maybe even modulate this over time, automate this over time, something like that. So now our filter's closing over time. But I actually want to go the other way. So have our filter low. There we go. Cool, now in the mix. That's kind of cool. From here, I would go into my own processing. Let me see what I'll do here. Definitely put like a reverb on it. This time I'm going to try to push this guy back. So I'm going to look for my Valhalla vintage verb. Boom. Drop this guy in here. Add another EQ in front of it. And I'm just going to use the dry wet. Keep it maybe kind of high. We're going to go decay, probably just a second. Maybe even a second and a half. We really want to push it into the back. And then I can actually use, let me see, I like to do it this way. You guys have already seen this a few times, I think, if you've been watching. But I'll go dry, wet, create 2 chains there. If you don't know how to create a chain, right click, create chain. What this has is you're going to have a whole signal coming in here to my Valhalla room. I'm going to have it at 100% mix. And then on the dry channel, this is just a dry channel. This is like my original source coming through. So what that allows me to do is actually right click on here, map to macro 1. And now I can increase or decrease the amount of reverb over time, which I'm going to do. And then click map here. What we can do is set 0 would be the max, and maybe like -33 would be the lowest. So what will happen is map, right click. We're going to show automation in new lane. And now over time, I can drop the volume of the reverb so that it sounds like the sound is further away and then getting closer to us. And lastly, I'm going to throw a filter, my favorite one. You've already seen it today, easy filter. Throw easy filter here. We're going to have a low pass opening up over time. Make it sound like this thing's further away coming towards us. I'm also going to use the high pass to kind of create the same effect. I think the sound actually has a little too much low end in it, so I'm just going to remove some there. And you can see I'm not being super exact, guys. It's okay to not be super exact. You want to get your ideas out as fast as you possibly can, and you can always come back later to really fine-tune things and tweak things, and if you're having problems with your CPU, you can always freeze your tracks, so it doesn't hurt to just have them there. Let me get it. Give me just a sec. Cool. So let's listen to this. A little bit more of the high end. So there we go. Got a cool little riser sound that I can play with, really dial into this track. But hopefully you guys see the value in Operator and some of these little tools and tricks. Okay, cool. So the last thing I wanted to do is talk about one more sound design trick, and that is sound designing using samples. You don't always have to have a synthesizer to do sound design. I think sound design has to do with, taking some sound source and using effects creatively to create something new. So I'm going to show you some of my favorite techniques, and I'm literally just going to freeball this right now, see what the heck I can come up with. Let's just listen to this track really quick and see if there's something that we need.
She got that drop top booty. She got that drop top booty. She got that drop top booty. She got that drop top booty.
Maybe some kind of like LFO tone, just kind of wobbling in the back or something. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm just going to dig into my samples here, see what I got. Let's go Juanton samples. That's groovy, huh? I'm going to use something from this. So this is a sound I sampled from a track. Cancel. I'm going to stick this on its own track for a second. And what I want to do is go in here and just get like a single tone out of this. Okay. Actually, I'm going to use the mono version because it'll just make it easier to work with. I'm going to put a little fade here at the end and then Command J to consolidate that. So now the sample is all by itself. Come back to my sampler and just drop it in there. So now if I go to my sampler and I go to C3, it should be playing the exact note. And we'll just drag that out. There it is. So it's just quieter because the sampler drops the sample by 12 dBs. We could fix that here by going to -6, but I do like to keep a little bit of room because I'm going to be playing around with it. So what are we going to do here? Take the sound, and what I'm actually going to do, let's see, Command J this really quick. I'm going to delete these guys. I'm going to legato it so that it's a long note. C3, just repeating. And then what I'm going to use is my arpeggiator to kind of make it like hit the notes. And if we turn this to free, kind of do something like that maybe. That's kind of cool. But I think what I'm going to play with, well, let's leave that on for a second. I'm just going to pull up an LFO tool, stick it on here, and see what the heck comes out. So what I really like to do with LFO tools, pull it up. I've come into my presets, and you got all these crazy ones. Just kind of cycle through these, listening for something cool. And you can see like it's creating things that don't even sound anything like the original. And now I'm creating brand new sounds, Juanton original sounds, one time for the neighborhood. You know, nobody's got this stuff, man. It's mine and mine only, right? See how easy I just took something from a different track, made it my own. Music production, baby. House music, tech house. This is where it was born. You can create all sorts of things. And I've hardly done anything. And this really leads me to my point, which is happy accidents, man. Sound designing for me has always been about happy accidents. I'm just playing around. I find something, I resample it, I stick it in my sample pack, even if it doesn't fit this track. 6 months later, I'm looking for a sound. I pull it out. Oh, it's kind of cool. I play with it. And now I have something great that's going to work in my track, and it's completely original. It's not from a sample pack, or at least it's not exactly out of the sample pack, right? I'm not just pulling them straight off Splice and sticking them in there. But it's fun. It's just a lot of fun too that way. And you're going to find that just having fun and not being too stuck on the outcome is going to lead to a lot of happy accidents, and happy accidents are going to end up becoming kind of your signature sounds. Seriously. So just go out there and play with your sounds here. It's kind of a percussive sound I could use there, but Disco Uncle, bounce to the side. Let's see what he's got. If you guys have any tricky techniques you use at home, drop them in the chat. I'd love to see them. Maybe even play with them here. Kind of cool. Yeah, these are sweet. Let me see here. Something a little weirder. Okay, that's a pretty cool sound. So let's use that. I'm thinking that it's going to be somewhere like right here, maybe. All right, so we got to turn this guy up a bit. So I'm going to use my utility. Make sure to EQ out this low end so it's not fighting with my bass. Let's go play with my LFO tool too, by the way. Where did LFO tool go? It's hiding over here. Don't like that cut. A little better. Okay, that's pretty cool right there. So what I'm going to do right away, we're going to talk about some resampling here. Command T is going to create a new audio track. You're going to change this external in here to resampling. You're going to click this to arm the track, is what it's called. And I'm keeping this one soloed because I only want to sample this, not the whole track. Now you come over here, you hit your record button. Great. Now I got a sample. Click it. We're going to just increase that volume. Turn this off. And now I can right away, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to save this. It's a cool sound, right? I'm going to maybe get 2 bars, Command J. I'm going to solo this track. I'm going to send this directly to master, where hopefully I don't have any processing, which I don't. Cool. Just click it so that it's highlighted, the whole clip. Command Shift R is going to be our export, or you can file, export audio and video. We're going to come down here. I like a wave. You could use AIFF, maybe FLAC. They're all lossless, but I prefer to use wave, I guess, for samples. When I'm exporting a track, I export tracks in 16-bit because, like, I think like CDs or something, we're all in 16-bit. So we decided that all masters forever and always should be 16-bit. But I'll keep them at 24-bit when I'm using just the samples, so that you have a higher bit depth on the sample specifically. And then I'm going to export that. I'm going to put this in my Juanton samples folder. You guys saw me in there earlier. And what do I got? Wonky samples. Sounds like something that this would be. So I'm going to call this LFO. That's just going to help me do searches. And then I'm going to call it Wonky Fierce Synth. Just helps me remember. And now, voila, I got a sample. And it's in my sample folder forever and always. I can always use that. Maybe one day release a Juanton sample pack, and that's going to be in there. That's pretty cool. So I'm going to take off this little last part, the little doof at the end. I don't really want that. Okay, that's pretty cool. So I'm digging that. Might come in here now that I have that. And probably just process this. Really can't go wrong with some reverb, some delay. But what do I really want to add to this? Maybe some decapitator, just to help give it some grit. Say guitars. I'm sure the guitars will sound good. That sounds pretty good. Let's make sure that I'm not doing anything crazy, or that the track actually sounds better, because we could be tricking ourselves. I think I've gone over this before, not to beat a dead horse, but if something sounds louder, if something is simply louder, your ear is going to think that it sounds better most of the time. So to make sure that what we're doing is actually pleasing, we want to make sure that the volume of this track going in and out of decapitator are the same. So minus 2.47 with it on, minus 0.32. So we can just turn down this output until it's same coming in. It's about the same right there. So with and without it. Yeah, definitely a lot more bite and edge to that sound. And then we'll just probably throw this into a plate reverb. I like little plate. You guys know the drill. Oh, whoops, wrong plate I grabbed. Little plate, little plate. Get rid of Valhalla plate. No offense, Valhalla, but little plate's my main man. Okay, and then this guy, we're just gonna put it down to like half a second delay. Turn that mix all the way, well, actually up on this channel, and then we'll use this dry wet. Just a little bit of the bass. Oh, look who it is. Submerged Sessions just made it in. Submerged Sessions, check them out. Yo, that's the boys. Submerged Sessions. They've been doing it since I've been doing it, man. These are my main homies. So glad to see you guys in the chat. Welcome. Definitely go check out Submerged Sessions on Facebook and SoundCloud. They got the nice beats and they put on some great shows. All right, so that's a pretty cool sound, man. Maybe some delay. My main man, H delay. Where you at? H delay rack. Gonna just automatically EQ this and then open up H delay itself. Maybe a little less feedback, and then what I really want is for the delay not to come in until kind of the end of the sound or to be rising over time. So the way we can do that is we have our output. Do I not have one? Doesn't matter. You just right click on the volume, show automation in new lane, easiest way. So I want it to go the other way. Okay. Oh, whoops. Wrong one. No wonder. Just going to delete that automation and then do it on this one. Hold Option will let you curve this little ramp there. So you can kind of see what I'm going for there. So we just get like a delay out of it. So not digging the triple though. Probably eights. In the mix, I'm gonna take out some low end. I hear him something kind of go like poof. Let me turn up the feedback. A little too much. Cool little fade there. All right, now let's really quick. I just want to do this. I'm gonna take out the vocal in the first part, and then the vocal will come in our second little phrase here. So from the top. See if we can play with the vocal a little bit here. Oh, wrong synth. That makes way more sense. Okay.
She got that drop top booty. She got that. She got that.
Okay, let's turn this.
She got that.
Maybe we just want that. Choo choo choo.
She got that drop top booty. She got that drop top booty. She got that drop top booty.
All right. Let me try. Whoops. Okay. Copy that. Delete all these bad boys. Maybe just here.
She got that drop top booty. 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 She got that top booty. She got that drop top booty. She got that drop top booty.
So that's pretty cool. Okay, and then just like really easy arrangement trick. I'm just gonna kind of cut back on this kick here and maybe the bass too. We'll see.
She got that.
Maybe keep the bass, take out the kick for the whole 4.
She got that drop top.
Sweet. All right. So that's pretty cool for today. I think that really covers the sound design part. This track's starting to come together. You know, we have a little bit of a build and a drop. We can start to see the energy of the song coming together. In the coming weeks, I definitely want to get this thing finished up. So maybe we'll work on building a whole drop next week, and then getting into an arrangement and how we arrange our tracks, how we keep energy in our tracks, how we keep the flow of energy going so that we keep and maintain interest without losing the cohesiveness of the track, right? The main loop, the beef, the part that makes you want to dance. So definitely trick of the trade. I'll be sharing with you there. So look for that in the next weeks. Let me know in the chat what else you guys would like to know. If you guys will be tuning in these following weeks, I definitely want to give you guys the best I can, the best knowledge that I have to share. And I'm trying to get better at this as well. And to that point, I did have a question. Would you guys be interested in seeing DJ tutorials as well as production tutorials? And if I was to stream another day, what would you want to see on that day? So if I was streaming twice a week, I'm thinking one would be kind of a lesson. Another would be either just me straight producing a track that I'm working on. And you guys can just see a little bit more of my workflow. Or I could go and teach how to DJ, because I do have some friends that have been wanting to learn how to DJ, producers I know trying to get started. And I think that that'd be a great place to share some of my knowledge as well. So let me know in the chat, or send me an email, juan@juantonmusic.com, or even just hit me up, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, @juantonmusic. However you guys want to communicate with me, just let me know what you think I should be bringing in the future so I can keep this valuable to my viewers. So with that being said, let me just go check my email, see if we have any demos for the week. I'm not seeing any as of right now. I know it's hard to get in a track every week because tracks take work. So to that, I guess to share some time here, I'm going to open it up to a Q&A. Drop any questions in the chat you guys would like to hear. And I'm also going to just go ahead and play a new version of a track that I know some of you guys have probably already heard. Let's see here. Deeper. Me and Dummy Splash have been collaborating on this track. I added like a new synth, kind of like a whole new style. So I'm just gonna play it for you guys here. Let me know if it sucks in the comments. Let me know if it's great in the comments. Let me know if there's anything you guys think could change. And if you've listened to it, the previous versions, let me know what you think of the new version. So I'm just gonna start right about here.
DJ, take me down deeper. Go deeper. I wanna go deeper. Go deeper.
Oops.
Go deeper. Go deeper. Go deeper. I wanna go deeper. I wanna go deeper. I wanna go deeper.
So yeah, it's getting there. I think I still have some vocals to fill in here in this backdrop section. And I kind of have this idea. I'll share this with you guys. I have this idea of maybe using a male and a female vocal. So the male vocal is myself. I want to go deeper, whatever it is. And then I'll have a female vocal that kind of plays off that coming in the middle and into the second drop. She's just like, take me deeper, or I don't know, something real sexy, right? I'm not gonna do my sexiest girl voice live on Twitch, but you get the idea, right? So I've heard it pulled off in a lot of other songs before where you have this male and this female vocal that kind of work together. So that's kind of the idea for this final section, and I think that pretty much brings this track to a close. Maybe work on the sounds a bit and really get the processing down and then finally get that mix down ready to send out. So pretty excited for this one. Let me know if you hate it or love it in the comments. So don't see any other. Oh, we got a remix contest entry from Anthony Zamota that will play up next. Sweet. Sweet. For the Miele Music Remix Contest. Before we get into that, we did have a question. It looks like Anthony Zamota himself asked, on your drums percussion group, would you put saturation in the chain first, then compression, or compress first, then saturate to get tight, leveled perks? Good question. Let me pull up Ableton really quick. So your question is like doing your drums group as a whole, or maybe your percussions. I would say, okay, short answer, you put your saturation before your compression, but there's a little more to that answer, and that's that saturation actually works better on simpler sound sources. Once you start adding multiple sound sources going into the saturation, the way that a saturator works is by like duplicating harmonics later in the harmonic series, like further up in the octaves. So saturation actually works best when you're saturating a single source. So I'd recommend putting your saturation on all of the drum channels separately, tuning in that saturation, and then having just compression on the group as a whole to get that feel, right? So you can see I have my glue compressor and I don't have any saturation on here. That's not to say that you can't saturate at the drums level. You definitely can, and people probably do. But I would just be much lighter on the group saturation and heavier on the individual saturation of each channel because of the way saturation works. So without getting too scientific, there's my answer, but really good question. Let's listen to this demo. Cool, man. Dope track. Dope track. Good one for this Mioli Music Remix contest. So a few things. I'm gonna jump around here a little bit. So I really feel your bass. Your bass sounds good. I did want to say that. It could maybe have a little bit of upper harmonics, I think. But it's not the end of the world. That's just gonna help you pop out maybe on like computer speakers or like iPhone speakers or something. And for that, I'd recommend just using our bass. Really simple way to add some upper harmonics, depending on the style of bass. Sometimes it doesn't work, but most of the time it is. I think that you need to saturate them drums, man. It's funny that you asked about saturation, but I think your clap and your main hat are just too quiet. I think they really need to be louder and drive the track. I like the groove of the claps. You got like the little off claps and stuff, but I think that they just need to come up a bit. So yeah, saturation, compression are going to be your friends there. But I think you can go more. And what I would do first is find a track that you think matches this the best and drop it in there at 0 dBs. Listen to it. Listen to where their clap is in the mix and go look at it in the spectrum. See where their clap frequencies are hitting, probably like minus 35 or something in that range, and then see where the hat is, and then solo your track, see where your clap is peaking and where your hat is peaking, and I'll show you really quick how we can do that. So if we're looking at my master here, I got my spectrum analyzer. Let's go look at my track as a whole. So oh, I'm in the wrong part of it. No wonder. Now, I have these EQs set up automatically. I've showed these before. So if I turn on reference highs, I'm just going to be looking at the high end. And this is your hat over here, your open hat. So I'll show you if I solo my hats. Here, right here, this is like the high volume. So if I look for the average, it's sitting at minus 45, which is probably low. If you go look at your reference track by using this reference highs, obviously, because you can't solo it, you just look right here and say, oh, where's my reference track? Oh, my reference track is peaking at minus 39. Well, where's mine? Well, mine's down here at minus 36. Okay, I'm just going to work on my hat until I get it to match. And most of the time, just bring up the volume. I think a lot of people don't bring up the volume enough. So bring up the volume on that hat. And then if the hat starts peaking or you hear it that it's hitting your limiter too hard, then that's a sign that you need to saturate it and maybe even clip that open hat, because that'll make it loud and get it nice and crispy in the top end without hitting your limiter too hard, your master limiter. So there's your hat. And then we can do the same thing. The clap too is this one, I believe. Maybe it works better with the reference mids. I think it works best with just the high end. And if we look for my clap, here it is. So like the 1 to 2K range is like the beef of the clap. And if we unsolo it, you can see it right here. So when you're looking at your reference, you just come right here, see where the clap's hitting, and get your clap hitting at the same dB range. So yeah, step 1, get those claps and those drums loud. Few other things about this track. Actually, the only other thing really to me that stands out is just the transitions. I think that you're going for like a long playing track, but it needs like little breaks in the energy right here. Otherwise it gets a little boring. It gets a little like repetitive. Like I've heard the loop a little too much. And I think it's just a matter of small takeaways in the energy. I think one really, really easy way that you could and probably should add some transitions is using crashes. I think that just a couple simple crashes at the beginning of phrases and some reverse crashes going into those is just going to add a lot of energy shift. Another really good way is to take away the kick and the bass for the last 4. Sometimes I'll even take it away for the first downbeat, actually. So I'll have the full bass and kick playing all the way through, and then on the downbeat I take it away, and that's like another cool trick. Let me see if I could demo that just to show you what that sounds like. So you can see right here I took away 4 bars. Like that's a pretty typical way to do it. But what I'm going to do here is take away the kick on the 1, and you can hear what that sounds like. Let me turn off my reference. See, and that's like in the middle, so that's actually a little different than what I was going for. Let's leave this one on here just for a sec. Turn it off there. So it's just a little takeaway, and it seems so subtle, but it just tells the listener that, hey, we're going from one phrase to the next. Something here is changing. Pay attention. And that's all you need. Just little small things like that are going to keep this track flowing along. But otherwise, man, I think you got a really good track. Your leads sound really good. The idea sounds really good. I can't even tell you much there about the idea because it's pretty locked in. And I did want to mention too that the second drop comes in really nice. I really like this buildup of energy right here. You crush it in this section. Like we're back into it. All right. People are putting the hands up. But yeah, man, other than that, sounds good. Oh, one last thing. I think the kick needs a little punch, and I think the way you can do that, because it sounds like it's drowning in the bass. And I can tell you want the bass to be the lead, and that's great. But I think that the kick needs some punch in like the mid-range. And a simple way to do that is to look for a kick click sample somewhere online. Find one, try them out, kind of like layering over your kick. And then when you find the one that you think sounds good, you can use saturation on that to push up just the click sample alone, and that's going to give it some punch in the mid-range. But that's it, man. Otherwise, good work. Keep sending in those demos. We always count on those Anthony Zamota demos. So I'm glad to see you're producing so much, man. You keep it up. You're going to be crushing it in no time. We'll be seeing your releases all over the place. All right, let me go double check my email, make sure nobody else has dropped me a demo. Yep, no more. I did want to shout out Astronap Official. First time I seen you in here. Hopefully this is your first time. Otherwise, I look like a dick here, but welcome, man. Happy to see you in here. Definitely waiting excitedly for your demos to come in either today or in the coming weeks. 7:43. Yeah, so if we don't have any more demos, man, I think we'll call it a little early this week. Make sure you guys are staying safe with all these fires out here in the Bay Area. Shit's getting a little crazy, and just stay safe, y'all. Take care of your people, and hopefully nothing too bad happens, and we get through this year of wildfire life in California. Anyways, guys, thanks for tuning in. Once again, share this with your homies if you can. I'm so close to getting affiliate, so if we get up to 50 followers in the next week or two, I think I'll make affiliate, and that'll keep this channel going. If you haven't already, make sure to sign up for that newsletter, juantonmusic.com/Twitch. Go sign up. I'm going to send you guys some free Juanton downloads as well as some Ableton racks. I promise it's on my list this week, and I'm not going out with all the smoke, so I'll make sure to get it done. Anyways, till next time, guys, stay curious, keep making music, be the best person you could be, love others, and love yourself. See you guys next time.
Now that you got me up, I want it. Got me up, I want it. Now that you got me up, I want it. Got me up, I want it. Now that you got me up, I want it. 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 Wanna see who you? Wanna see who you got me up? I want it. 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 Can you work on me?
ass for me. Can you wiggle for me? Can you wiggle for me? That ass for me. That ass for me. That ass for me. That ass for me. That ass for me.